Hey guys, welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be talking about any of my tips or my experience about studying abroad in Korea, because low-key my Korea vlogs kind of popped off a little bit and a lot of people had questions about things that would take way too long to answer through like responding to the comment than just making a video about it all. I'm answering y'all's questions. I went through all my videos and wrote down like the questions that people asked me in the comments. I'm just gonna talk about them, or even just general knowledge that would help, I think. So the program that I went with was called TEAN, T-E-A-N. They are basically an external program that my university basically like introduced me to. So on my university, Texas A&M study abroad portal, which I don't know if every university has that, but I just went on there and put like South Korea because I knew that I wanted to go there. This program came up. Like there were other programs, but the other ones were like, you have to be in this specific school, you have to be in doing a master's, you know, that I didn't fit in. But this one was for kind of anyone. The portal kind of walked me through the steps of what to do. Then I had a teen portal where they had all of the documents that I needed to fill out and then just re-upload a PDF of it onto the portal. And then they took care of everything like visa wise, insurance wise. Like I just had to basically sign it all and read it, and then like I just kept it for my own files. They also had people waiting for us at the airport, had a car service to take us to the university. So that was really helpful. Honestly, I think that if you want to study abroad, you can definitely make it happen. You just have to be committed and actually go through all the steps, because there are a lot of steps. Yes, they walk you through it, but it's still a lot to keep up with. I personally wasn't eligible, but I'm sure there are plenty of scholarships. And I know even some of my friends that I met there were on scholarships too. So you can definitely make it happen if money's the issue. And I think that that's safe to say for most study abroad programs, is most of them do have some kind of scholarship, or your university has some kind of scholarship thing for that. So I graduated from Texas A&M with nutrition degree, which has all of like the hard STEM classes that you need for like pre-med, pre-dental, whatever, any of that, like OChem, biochem, all of that I needed. That was a part that was really stressful for me because I didn't want to have to graduate late either. I knew I had to at least take like one hard STEM course while I was in Korea. So I looked and I reviewed my course, like the courses that I needed to graduate and which ones that they offered, because they didn't offer everything for international students. Specifically in my case, Korea University had Biochem 1 and Biochem 2. I didn't need Biochem 2 for a graduate school. I'm not sure if med school you need Biochem 2, but at least for me, I didn't. So I just needed it for my major at Texas A&M to graduate. So that was helpful. All of the classes that I took abroad were all pass-fail. So if it's an important class that you kind of need the GPA to show or whatever, I don't know if I would recommend to do it there, because you might have to end up retaking it when you come back to the States. Specifically, I took Biochem 2, fermented foods, and cereal science, and then 2 Korean classes. So cereal science and fermented foods doesn't sound too difficult. Honestly, fermented foods wasn't bad, but cereal science sounds kind of silly, but it was talking about the science of like grains and all of that. So it was very detail oriented and hard, but because it was pass fail, I wasn't too stressed about it. I thought that balancing the schoolwork was very manageable, because for international students, they curve a lot. Like at least for me, they curved so much. Like it was pass fail, but to pass a class, at least for me, it wasn't really about the grades you were getting, except for in like Korean language classes, because obviously like almost everyone in there were like international students. But when it comes to actual courses where majority of the people around you are like Korean and you're kind of the only international student, which that was the case for cereal science, fermented foods, and biochem. Due to that fact, even though it said on the syllabus that it was an English class, the English was very broken. Yeah, so the classes itself were, I wasn't very engaged in my classes, but also I took STEM classes. A lot of my study abroad friends, they took more international study classes, or at least to me more interesting, fun classes where you talk about like worldly topics or whatever. Those, they were raving about those classes, saying how it was so interactive, so interesting, so fun. When it comes to STEM classes, that's This is the only experience that I can talk about. To pass them, it was very much attendance, so you need to show up to class, and effort. So that was kind of more, I think, what I was graded on, as in terms of my actual scores that I was receiving for my exams, because they also don't have, again, this is for my STEM classes, they didn't have assignments like weekly homeworks or whatever. It was purely a midterm and a final. I think my serial science had like a project. In some moments I was actually really stressing. Looking back, I had no reason to stress, because if you are just trying to pass your classes and you show that you care and that you're trying, it's just that like the scores aren't coming out as you wish, don't worry about it. At least, again, my experience, I didn't, at the end of the day, did not need to worry about them. The environment of the classes were very, my STEM classes, it was just like you walk in, you sit down, and you just like listen and then you leave. No one really talked to each other. At A&M, if you're sitting there, it's like chattery in the room. But whenever I was in those classes, it was like silent. Everyone's just kind of like on their phone. For me, it was very difficult to make friends in my classes because they were majority like native Korean people, and they didn't seem like they wanted to be bothered. They could have just been shy, but also, I don't know. My other two classes were Korean beginners class and Korean speaking one. My Korean ability before I went was not good. Obviously, I'm familiar with the Korean language because I am Korean American, but my parents don't speak Korean to me at home, so it's mainly just from my grandparents, my relatives. So I feel like the only perks that I had was that I did know a lot of like basic phrases that I would like say to my grandma or that she would say to me. My pronunciation was something that didn't really need to be worked on. I definitely need practice, like mine's not very good, but compared to other people in my class, because they were both beginner classes, my pronunciation was pretty good. So, and I knew how to read and write, just not quickly. So I think that those levels were very good for me because they focused a lot on what you need to get around to live in Korea, which was very helpful because obviously everyone in those classes were pretty much international students. Unless you can kind of easily carry out a whole conversation with someone fully in Korean, I would say to do beginners 1 or Korean speaking 1 or both. But I will say, to actually get around in Korea, it was not that difficult if you didn't know any Korean, because a lot of my friends never knew the Korean language before they went and they still were able to get around. Honestly, I got really lucky with my friends, or like the people that ended up studying abroad with me, but I'm sure everyone thinks that too because everyone ends up finding friends. My only advice is something that one of my friends told me before I went to study abroad, because she studied abroad this semester before. She told me, shout out to Bunzu if you're watching this, that you need to be the most outgoing and friendly person of your life for the first week that you're there. So specifically for my program, we got there a week before school started. That first week, I was trying so hard to be the most outgoing, friendly person. Even though y'all saw in my vlogs that one of my best friends, Chlo, was also there studying abroad with me, she was actually not in Seoul when I first got there. She was visiting family. So I was by myself and I had to make my friends. You have to basically just like DM people and be like, hey, I wanted to go here, like I wanted to go to Han River, do you want to come with me? Or text in like big group chats that my program at least put me in, these big group chats with people who are also going, so you can just text and be like, hey, I wanted to go here, who wants to come? Like meet in front of this dorm, so that you can meet everyone that you can and kind of like see who you would vibe with and then kind of hang out with them. Typically, if you aren't the most friendly or outgoing, you won't be able to meet everyone and see what all personalities are out there for you to be friends with. So sometimes you're stuck with people who you might not even talk to once you leave Korea. Do you know what I mean? Ask people to go eat with you, ask people to do this with you, but also if you're an introvert and you don't want to, Korea is a great place to go for introverts because people be eating by themselves all the time, people be doing things by themselves, and I think that that's also very normalized in their society. So that's also a plus if you don't want to make a lot of friends. I was kind of lucky where it didn't set back my graduation, but I do think that you really need to look at their courses on what's available for you, international student and in English. If you can find at least like 1 or 2 courses that will work towards your degree, it shouldn't have to set back your graduation. Studying abroad is an experience you will never get again. You still have a purpose of being in a new country. You're a student. You have like, you're able to live in dorms, you're able to meet all these new people, you're able to do all of this stuff. Once you graduate college, yes, you can go visit these places, but you're gonna be a visitor. You won't, unless you get a job there, but again, getting jobs in other countries are difficult. So like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. For packing, I have a whole packing video that I filmed before I left. If you wanna go look at that, I inputted a lot of tips that I had because I was editing that when I was in Korea. So I put more helpful tips on there. But I will say one thing is that for a towel, a lot of Koreans use these small tiny towels that we aren't used to, at least me in America. So my mom came and visited me and she brought me a towel from home, which was kind of extra. But I do know that one of my friends found a bigger towel at Home Plus. I think that's what it's called. Honestly, I completely forgot, it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure it's called Home Plus. It's like a store in Korea where they apparently have bigger towels. So you can still buy one there, not a big deal. Again, I put this in my packing video, but if you don't want to watch that, another quick tip is if you do not fit the beauty standard size in Korea, pack more pants, because the pants there will not fit you unless you go thrifting and buy like men's pants, which I had to do many times. That was very difficult because I'm 5'9". Like, I was like a head taller than sometimes almost everyone. I got the pleasure of going to Busan and Nami Island with Teen, like my program. They already had that in the budget of when we paid them, basically. So that was all taken care of. They had transportation, they had everything. But I also got to go to Jeju Island with my mom, and I also went to Seoraksan, like the mountains. Me and 2 of my friends planned that, so it was just the 3 of us and we went. I also got to go to Yeosu, and I don't remember what the other like town was called, but Kayla, my friend, her dad lives there, so we got to go visit him. And I know a lot of my other friends, they planned other trips like to the green tea fields and all of that. You can definitely plan trips to go outside of Seoul, but it's gonna be on you. Like, you have to plan it all. I had a Visa credit card through Wells Fargo and that worked fine. Like, it took every time. Like, I never had an issue. I also could withdraw cash from my Wells Fargo debit card too. If you're coming from a different country, I'm so sorry, I cannot help you with that. I don't have any experience with that. Okay, last piece of advice is if you have time before school starts, I suggest to try and knock out all of the touristy things that you want to do before school starts. That's what my friends and I did, because once school starts, you get into like kind of a routine and it relieves a lot of pressure for trying to like live out your Korea dream to like hit all of these like big places while also having school the next day or whatever. You're gonna be so tired, your feet are gonna hurt, your legs are gonna be sore from walking, but it's definitely worth it to try and knock out like the really touristy things first, like you're on vacation. So then once school starts, you can actually feel like you're actually living in Korea and you're just someone who's just like living there, if that makes sense. Because that's the whole point of studying abroad, is having that feeling that you're actually like living in a new country and you're not like a visitor. Those are all of my tips that I have, or questions that I got that were way too long to answer in a comment. If you have any other questions, ask them down below. I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. See y'all in my next video.